the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Catholic. I'm Jen Morrow, and with me today, as always, is Mike Walsh. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Jen, what's going on?
Nothing.
I had to actually think about your name for a second, because for some reason I almost called you Christine, and the reason that's impressive is I don't really know anybody named Christine. I mean, I know people named Christine, but I don't know anyone I talk to on a regular basis named Christine.
Is it because we haven't done the podcast together in a while? You've had a lot of special guests.
There have been. That is true.
So you've forgotten.
But I have no... That was
already.
The first name that popped into my head.
I'm sad.
Yeah. And I really wish this podcast was coming out after the next podcast, because there would be so many jokes we could make right now, but we can't make any of them. But I am telling you, dear listeners, that make sure you listen to the next podcast, because it was recorded while we were down at the Catholic Media Association conference in Baltimore, and we had a bunch of our New Jersey cousins on from other dioceses and other entities within the state. And I re-listened to it as I was editing it together the other day, which is barely editing. It's the funniest episode we've ever done. It's also heartfelt and Christian and Catholic and warm, and you get to see sort of the inside of what it's like to work as a Catholic communicator in the Catholic Church. But it's also the funniest episode we've ever done.
Is it like in hindsight when you went and listened to it? It was just as funny.
It was as good as it was when we recorded it. Yes, there are some things in there that are just absolutely phenomenal. As a matter of fact, one of our guests reached out to me and let me know that was the funniest podcast she'd ever been a part of or listened to.
So I was like, honored.
I know, good. Me too. That was really good. I mean, mostly we made fools of ourselves was the funniest part of it, but
we did.
It was actually a very good episode. So listeners, I hope you'll go back and take a listen to that at some point, or next week rather. Go back and listen to that.
Yep.
But because I enjoyed it immensely and I was on it.
Well, let's tell. That's unusual. Let's tell everybody why we were in Baltimore. You kind of said we were at the Catholic Media Association conference.
So the Catholic Media Association, and you'll get more about this in next week's episode, but it's the organization that Catholic journalists and Catholic communicators, like people like me, directors of communication and varying levels of staff below and above, attend to get best practices and meet with their colleagues, and it's a really cool entity. And it was we'll talk about this a little bit more next week as well, but I was named to the board of directors this year, so I'm getting to look at it from a completely different perspective. So actually in the middle of the conference was when I actually became a board member, so it was nice, and I hope to do what I can to make it accessible to my fellow communicators and make sure that they're getting the best out of it they can.
And it was the first time I had arrived at the conference. It was the first time I'd ever been to the conference, so It was pretty eye-opening for me as well, which is
amazing considering you've been a Catholic communicator for 7 years.
It was a good opportunity for me as well, just to meet some other people, and I got a lot of good ideas. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, the very last night, they announced the annual media awards, and
we had a very nice hall. We had 17 awards in total between the between the communications department and the Catholic Star Herald, and I always assume we're not going to win any when we go.
That's the hope.
Well,
we all know.
As a good Irishman, I always assume nothing good is going to happen, and I was pleasantly surprised when it was the exact opposite. So that's the largest number of awards that we've won since I've been a part of the diocese. So. I got to tell you, the folks that we work with do great work. As a matter of fact, one of our fellow colleagues outside of the department got a first place award for, I forget what the title was, but for basically it was best video, and it was Donna Ottaviano Britt, naturally. Of course, who else would it be? One for her interview with Lee Della Monica regarding the Eucharist, which is actually a great conversation. Lee really opens up personally about how the Eucharist really helped her in times of great difficulty, and it's a great video that I hope people, particularly here during this time of the National Eucharistic Revival, will be able to go watch and be touched by.
Yeah, I'm just very happy for Donna. She puts a lot of heart into Joyful Disciples, and I was really excited for her.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Yeah, she did good. But our fellow staff members did. We won a bunch of photography awards. I won one of those, as a matter of fact.
You did indeed, for a great sports photo that you took, and it was an action sports photo.
Yeah, but our other photographers, I think we had 3 photographers win, 4 photographers. I think, was there a freelancer in there too?
Oh yeah, there was a freelancer. So I think we had 3. We had 4 photographers win, and we also had our sports correspondent Mark Zamora win for one of his writing stories. So
if you would like to see the full recap of that, then you can find that on the Catholic Star Herald website somewhere. We have a listing of our loot. But it was good to know that all that hard work we put in as well. And by the way, I will also say this is the first year that Pete Sanchez has not won a podcast where that was actually the shocking part. The hardest part was coming back and telling Pete you hadn't won for one of his first Talking Saints.
Because it's so good.
Staggering.
It was staggering. And because he's won every year, and we're also proud.
He and Lori do a great work. So that actually did surprise me. It didn't surprise me at all that this podcast didn't win because, we don't try that hard.
Hey,
you do, but I don't try hard.
And I also had Mark Wahlberg on. I really thought I was going to win for the Mark Wahlberg podcast.
I'll be honest with you. I really thought you had a shot at it.
Yeah.
But,
that's all right.
But you know what? It's become when we first started the podcast, there weren't a ton of Catholic podcasts out there, and now we're littered with them. And in a good way. But and the editing, like people really put a lot of thought and effort into them now that they turned into productions. And I think because I like to keep mine very basic, it has.
I like ours. Ours is homegrown.
I know.
It's real.
I think ours is the best out there.
It's
real.
It's
I accept the fact that we might not be everybody's cup of tea. They're wrong, but
they're wrong. You kind of mentioned it really quick, but I just wanted to bring it up that last weekend was the kickoff of the second year of the National Eucharistic Revival, in the fact that it entered the second year, which is the parish phase. So for all of those who took part in Eucharistic processions over the weekend, check out the Catholic Star Herald, this week's issue, and also online in our photo galleries. We have dozens of photos, not only from where the locations we were at, which was Carney's Point, Camden, and Stone Harbor, but a lot of parishes were just very generous in sending in photos, and we're posting those as well. So, check it out, read about it, and this should be a really great year, second year of the Eucharistic Revival, to see what the parishes will be doing throughout the year. Yeah,
which to our listeners, please, by the way, let us know, particularly if you're in South Jersey, let us know what's going on in your parish or in your ministries related to the Eucharistic Revival, because we'd love to come out and cover it. Or if we can't cover it, then we'd certainly like you to submit photos or some text or be interviewed or any number of things. We'd really like to showcase this parish here. So by all means, feel free to reach out to Jennifer Morrow at jennifer.morrow, that's MAURO, at camdendiocese.org.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem. I'm here to support.
Hey, I met a lot of great people on Sunday in Camden, walking in the procession, which was about 4 miles. And I met a lot of parishioners I hadn't met from Sacred Heart, the cathedral, and the pro-cathedral, but also just got to meet a lot of the community members who live in Camden, and that was very heartwarming and eye-opening. So it was... check it out. I don't know what else to say about that. It was just really heartwarming. So in other words, invite me to your parish. I'll walk in your Eucharistic procession too.
That is true. You will do that. It's
a big walker.
Whatever it takes to get your steps in. No, I mean, not you. I wasn't calling you out specifically. I mean,
well, you do keep bringing in baked goods to the office, so I actually do need to keep walking, actually.
I know. It's a shame.
You made some really good shortbread cookies this week.
That does sound like me.
Yeah.
And now that you know what a Burger's Baltimore cookie is, I got to make those next. I actually looked at the recipe again. Yeah. I got to go out and buy a lot of stuff. Okay. Those things are legitimately decadent.
I encourage that.
At any rate,
right.
That is not why we're here to talk baking. Because I could talk why I don't have an episode or a series just on baking alone, I don't know.
Yeah.
However, we're here to talk about a more serious topic, and one that we're actually once again on the road. As a matter of fact, we've come back to one of our favorite places, Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Camden, here in South Jersey, to have a wonderful conversation with one of our favorite guests and a brand new guest. So, Jen, who is here with us today? Who's making you giggle from across the table?
Who just gave me 2 thumbs up, which I'm very excited to get, is Jose Sanchez. He is the Director of Immigration, Refugees, and Migrant Services for Catholic Charities, Diocese of Camden. And then we also have Alexander Polokh, who is a case manager for Catholic Charities, Diocese of Camden. So welcome, Alexander and Jose. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you, Jennifer and Mike. Thank you for having me. So our conversation today, Alexander is a case manager, but his case managing is specifically for a target population that actually he came from, and I'll let him talk his story, but it's specifically for Ukrainians that were displaced by the war and ended up in our neighborhood of South Jersey.
Now, Jose, are there a number of those from Ukraine who have arrived here?
There is a fairly large population of Ukrainian folks living in the Violin area, and that's where Alexander is helping us out in.
Great. Alexander, would you like to say how long you've been here?
Hello, everybody. My name is Alexander. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for invitation. And thank you for those who just hired me. And I'm able to be here and be part of this great team of helping, especially specifically my case, my work, Ukrainians. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm grateful to be part of huge charity work that you do here.
Well, Alexander, you already have the right energy for it, because that's that Catholic Charities energy that this place is known for, which is why I come here to get re-energized from time to time. So tell us your story a little bit. What was your life like back in the Ukraine, and then sort of what brought you to the United States?
I have a short story, just 40 years old short story. And my experience of being here in the US is just 1 year, and also my experience of learning English is just 1 year. So if I don't have right words, just ask you to excuse me.
No
my
problem.
English, just I have a lack of vocabulary. But hope in a couple of years and working with such wonderful team, my English will be much better. So I just come here, as I said, 1 year ago, because of the war. So it's worse. It's bad reason, but I'm here, and my family, my wife and 2 kids, we're here. It's a safe place, wonderful people, amazing country, and because of the war, so we are here.
So what did you do in Ukraine before you left?
I had a career in sales. Mm-hmm. So I came there like a average sales manager, and then during 15 years of working there, I became a head of sales department, and situation was as I said, changed, and war started, and I had to leave everything, my previous life, friends, real estate, everything, and come to the absolutely new, for me, context. It's like a different continent, not just different people like Homo sapiens. It's absolutely new worldview, traditions, culture, sociology, absolutely new. And I'm here. But I'm glad that, as I said, nice people, wonderful country, and it's not so hard to start new life because of the as I said.
Because of how welcoming everybody was?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, that's the hallmark of what Catholic Charities does here. As a matter of fact, you're another shining example. We've actually had a number of refugees who have come through our doors and then end up working for Catholic Charities because you guys have a great job of picking out people with talent to help serve. So Alexander comes to us in search of aid. What were we doing? So I guess the first question for you, Jose, is, how have we been servicing the Ukrainians who've come across?
Well, I think that Alexander's story is it'd be nice if we had a real Google translator that we can translate his complete story into a language that we can understand, because what he just said doesn't do justice for his journey to the violent area. But let me just start just to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm guessing about a year ago, close to a year ago, we received a message. My phone had a message, and it was Alexander that he was looking for some help. So it took me, and I felt bad, and I told him that it took me 2 days to get that phone call back to him, to return the phone call. So Mustafa, my coworker, and I, we called him. We called Alexander, and his story was that he's called around 40 people left that many messages, and we were the first ones to call him back. So that was kind of interesting, and he's saying, well, I need help. So we said, okay, what is it that you need? And we visited Alex a couple of days later. We took him what he was looking for, and we asked what was his story, and he told us his story. And here's the most interesting part is that Alexander was here for a little bit of time, and he was already navigating the system to get a house. And he was able to get a house later on. We took some furnishings to the house, and the landlord, which is a female, asked us, well, why are you doing this? And it said, well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? It says, nobody does this just because out of the goodness of their heart, right? And I'm stunned because I'd never heard anybody that has a Catholic Charities truck behind them and saying nobody does this just out of the goodness of their heart, but and we do. And then we had the conversation of Matthew 25 with her, that we do welcome the stranger, and we do anything and everything that we can. So we did that, and we realized, and the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops realized that there will be 90,000 Ukrainians coming to the country, more or less. And they said, well, we will put this grant out for people that get selected to be able to hire somebody to help these people or these individuals navigate the social service system. And then at the end of the day, we would give them the opportunity to meet with a lawyer. So we did that. Once we were approved for the grant to find at least 75 Ukrainians, we reached out to Alec because we knew that he was in communication with that community, and we offered him the opportunity to work with us, and he said yes. And I think that that's one of the best yes that I've heard. And the reasoning for that is that I have no idea what Ukrainians speak or the language or how to even start a conversation specifically for that culture. And so he said yes, and he was able to do that. So my portion of this work is being the intermediary. So what do we find for them? And we find that through Alex gives it to us. We find information and we report back, and we help them out as much as we can. So for this year, we're supposed to be looking at 75 Ukrainians. And I think Alexander has found a lot more than 75 Ukrainians. And the reality is that a lot of these individuals are, like he said, find it easy to start a new life over here. And, I am amazed that someone would say it is easy to find a new life here.
I am stunned. When you said that, I was stunned. I would think that it would be hard to find a new life in somewhere you don't know.
It's hard. It's absolutely hard. But because of the differences between economical situation in the countries, so between, for example, USA and Ukraine, we see the high level of differences economy. And when you come here, those things that you think they are small or little or not enough for those who cross the ocean from the Ukraine and come here, that's sometimes more than enough,
Okay.
When we talk about the food providings, when we talk about the social medicine,
Healthcare.
Healthcare. So when we talk about these things, as I said, because of the different economical levels, for many Ukrainians this is more than enough, and they thankful and they feel good. And moreover, if we help them, because most of them come here without any knowledge of language. Some of them know that London is the capital of Great Britain. This was written in the basic English level books in middle school. So everybody knows that. But when you start to communicate, you understand that you don't know language and people don't understand you. And you have to start new life, as I said, and you need to prepare a bunch of documents, tons of documents, social security numbers, driving license, work authorization, apply to all of the opportunities that government provide you. So you have to be able to do all of these things. And if you don't know how to do that and nobody help you, you may be like in shock. You may be, you may feel like uncomfortable.
Of course.
Yeah, uncomfortable. And now, because of the Charity Diocese, Catholic, we are able to help those people who come here and have no connections, no relatives, no friends, nobody. They just come from the New York airport, for example, come to the Violent because they know that in Violent there are like a couple of Slavic churches. And they come here, and sometimes people are so busy that nobody can just spend time with you and help you. To go to the Board of Social Service and apply for something. And now we may like help them, and there is a like team, and I'm part of this team, and we may help them. So for those who come from the different country, from the different continent, who across the ocean, it's huge help. And tremendously huge help.
We've talked on the podcast before here at Catholic Charities how the paperwork that you're talking about is hard for Americans too. It's hard for me. I would not know what to do if I did not have somebody to ask. So the fact that you are there in the community and Jose working together must be just a huge help.
Now I may say I'm almost professional. So if anybody lose the documents, I know what to do. I know how to start new life in US from the beginning to the top. Even to apply for the scholarship, apply to the FCA grants, college, university, documents, like anything. So thank you for the wonderful experience in a new country.
Okay, well then, Alexander, when I decide to go back to school, I'm going to come to you, and you can help me find the right paperwork.
I will be able to help you to apply, to be enrolled, and to get all the scholarships.
Excellent.
Well, it sounds to me like you know German. Maybe you could Alexander could help you learn Ukrainian or Russian.
I feel like if I learn German, which is not easy, that maybe I could. Is Ukrainian hard to learn?
I think any language is hard to learn.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know that before, anything, even languages, so new skills, new job, new anything, new experience, it's hard, especially language. Like a main skill and my main communicational skill. So it's hard. It's hard, but if anybody have a desire, and if he really wants to do something, he will be able to get it. Even language, even Ukrainian, even Russian, any language, Deutsch, Chinese, French, Spanish.
So,
like that.
did you speak any English before you came to the United States?
I knew some words like table, chair, my name is Alexander, that's all.
Wow, okay.
But I understood that to be able to be integrated in the society, I need to overcome the language barrier. That's why I went to school. I mean, work. I started to work at school, like a special need aid for the special kids. And this experience, I've been working there for 6 months.
Wow.
As soon as I got my work permit, I started to work at local school, and I help teachers with the special needs kids, and for them it's like additional opportunity to have helper, aid, and for me it's wonderful opportunity to start like something new in new country and be able to be helpful in the local community. And plus language experience, and this was the booster for me to improve and increase my language.
Yeah.
And I have to assume that as a salesperson, you're naturally inclined to be good with people, you know?
Yeah, this is my, like, all what I can communicate with people. And my main skill to be able to communicate with them is language doesn't work here. So I need to recover my main skill to be able to communicate. Most of the people who come here, they know how to do something by their hands. Crafters, plumbers, electricians, somebody else. So they knew how to do it in their country. They come here and they keep doing the same thing. My main skill is to be able to communicate, but I cannot do it properly and in a whole, like,
with the depth of which you used to be able to, right?
Yeah,
sure.
So in my, as I do it in my native language.
Right.
So my main goal is to be able to improve my English, that I be able to communicate as a native fluent speaker.
Well, you know, Jose, you know, you and I have talked about this many times in the past on previous podcasts about, you know, how much refugees can bring to society when they come to a new country. And, you know, we've seen that time and time again with Catholic Charities clients, and just how dedicated they seem to be to integrate into the community and then to be supportive members of the community. It sounds like you have another winner here in Alexander, but I mean, that perspective is true, right?
Absolutely. One of the things, I was just speaking with a brand new social worker, MSW, earlier today before this, and one of the things that I said regarding the culture of the people, that we as Americans, to some extent, have gotten lazy with the opportunities that we have here, and I'm looking at, between the Ukrainians, the Cubans, the Haitians, any one of them, they're bringing all of that energy that they had because they see an opportunity to come here and work and generate a life for themselves and their family. But in in the culture that they bring, the little spice that comes into the neighborhood. So now in the violent area, there's a much larger Ukrainian population there. And I'm not exactly sure what the food is, but when somebody's cooking it, you're going to smell it in the neighborhood, and you're going to be amazed and saying, like, oh my goodness. Very similar to the Spanish neighborhoods. It's the same thing. You could tell that it's lunchtime. You could tell that it's dinner time because of the flavors that they bring to the community. And the work ethic. The work ethic is there. Alexander was looking for work when we saw him a couple of days later after we talked over the phone. So they want to do this. They want to bring it here and creating a life for themselves, it's easier when you have someone that knows how to navigate the system. So we helped a little bit. Alec got it, and now he's helping the other new people to do it themselves, and they in return will do it for the new person just as well. So yeah.
You know, there's something to be said. Your story reminds me, when I first moved to Germany, I did not know any German, and we had an apartment. They invited us to dinner. They spoke a little English.
They who?
My landlords, Heidi and Eddie. I love them. And so, but we would sit at a table and eat together. And even though there wasn't so much talking, because my German was 0 and their English was so-so, we started to get to know each other. And then I wanted to go to school to learn German. I did not know how to do the paperwork. Heidi took me to town and helped me fill out the paperwork because it was all in German. So the fact that you were getting to be the person who can bridge and bring those cultures together here for the community, I think will make Vineland a stronger community.
For me, it was the question of survival. So I had to survive. I come to the new country and I had to survive. It was not a question about myself. I have 2 kids and my wife. So we come here and we cross the ocean and we are here. And we have to do something. We need to do something. We need to survive. And then bring something positive, something good to this society that include us, that invite us, that gives us opportunity to be among them. So our desire is to bring the best, what we have here, and make stronger local violent community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you came from Ukraine, were you allowed to bring a lot of things with you, or you said you had to leave everything?
I took the most important thing that I could to be able to cross the border. I took my chess book for my older son because he played chess when he was in Ukraine, and we keep doing here. So I took my old teaching chess book, and I took my tennis. How do you call this stuff?
Tennis racket.
Tennis racket.
Yeah.
For my son, it was almost everything that I was able to take. So my racket, tennis racket, chess book, and my one of the favorite suit and pair of shoes, because I understood that in a new country I will feel depression. But when I wear my suit, even old, by mine suit and my pair of shoes, I will feel comfortable, and it will give me energy to keep working and doing something. So it was my suit, my pair of shoes, my tennis racket, and my chess book. Educational chess book.
Yeah.
So
that sounds wonderful. That also sounds incredibly sad that you had to leave so much behind. What town in Ukraine were you from?
Odessa. This is one of the main city in Ukraine. It's the south part of Ukraine. One of the biggest city, main seaport located there. Main 3 seaports located close: Odessa, Yuzhny, and Chernomorsk. It's just 1 hour drive, and 3 main seaports that connect that part of the world to Turkey and Georgia. And
I don't know that a lot of people know much about Ukraine. Well, certainly prior to the war, I think most people and most Americans didn't really know much about Ukraine. What was it like living in Ukraine before the war?
So everybody knows that it's east part of Europe. And we know that the Europeans, they also divided between west part. It's like a much higher level of living, and there are eastern part of Europeans and north part of Europe. So from the West Germany to the east, to the Ukraine, Belarus, Moldova. It's a part of huge European continent, but not so wealthy and developed. But at the same time, we have people who are ready to build something, to work hard, to devote themselves for something good, to build something better for them and for their families. And now we don't have this opportunity because of the destruction that we watch, that we see in our country.
Yeah, that was one of the things that impressed me about the war. Is I knew a little bit about Ukraine, but I didn't know a lot. The cities, many of the cities are beautiful. They're definitely, the architecture is really nice. You can tell some of the cities are very old. I will tell you that I've been very impressed by the Ukrainian people. Very dedicated, very funny. Like a lot of the interviews that I've seen with people, talking about not the war, but life in general, Ukrainians seem to have a pretty good sense of humor.
We have capital of Ukraine is Kiev, but the capital of humor is Odessa, is my native city. So the capital of humor is in Odessa.
Oh, that explains a lot.
We have one of the best opera house in Europe, located in Odessa. So it's very cultural, and moreover, it's more multicultural city because of the port, because of the trades.
Yeah.
Hundreds of nations feel comfortable to live there and to speak their native languages and communicate with each other, and everybody understand each other. That's why I think this is one of the reasons why people more able to communicate, because different cultures. Odessa is like a small America, small USA. I mean, when we talk about the cultural mix. So, it's nice to be there.
Now that you've been here for a year, we don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict the future. But if you ended up having to spend the rest of your life in the United States, would you be happy here, or do you think you would one day want to go back to Ukraine after the war?
Migration, it's all about the time, I think. When we talk about the time you spent in a new country, especially in a beautiful country like USA is, it may become new native country for you. So it's a beautiful country, it's a wonderful country, wonderful nature, just nice people, and as many time I spent here, as many chance that I stay here, and it will become like new home. When I just came here, I was definitely 100% sure that I would come back. But just being 1 year here, it's just 70-30. 70% I would like to stay here. But, when we talk about the situation of immigration, we are, as adults, we think mostly about our kids. My oldest son is 10 years old. My youngest son is 6 years old. Being here just 1 year, I see and I observe, I watch that he start to communicate more in English. Just spending 1 year in an American school, he become more fluent, in English. And sometimes they play together. They always play together, but sometimes they start to communicate in English. My kids. So we are able to stay here for 2 years. For those 2 years, just imagine how deep people will be dwelt here in a new country. They work, they pay taxes, their kids start new language. For example, if my son was 3, not 5 or 6 years old, he didn't know his native, because 2-3 years old, So those families who come with the small kids, 2, 3 years old, in 2 years, they will know just English.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine how can they come back.
Yeah.
If their city is destroyed, or even if not, their kids, they absolutely 100% integrated to the society.
Yeah.
So when I think about myself, I think about my kids. Will I be able to bring them back in 2 years?
Yeah.
And I answer, probably not. So we would like to stay here and bring something new and best what we can to this society and this country.
Do you ever think about your family and your wife's family on the big picture, yeah? Like all this time you were in Ukraine, but then one day part of the family went to America, but part of the family will be in Ukraine, yeah? So there will always be like, you know, like when you look back at your history and your ancestry, is that something you think about? Like we might be the ones that were the pioneers who came here because you had to, but...
To tell the truth, we always think about it. I just imagine the picture when my ancestors, my grandsons, they will sit like for the Thanksgiving table, praying, eating, communicating, and remember me as a grandfather who was able to bring the family here, you know?
Yeah.
They would be like a part of the society, do something, you know, something good, something big, something important in this country. And just remember me.
That's exactly how it goes. Because I was I was two generations removed from the immigrants who came to our shores from my side of the family. So, so on my dad's side of the family, my great grandfather came from Ireland. My great grandmother came from France through Canada. On the other side of the family, my great grandmother came from northern Italy, and my great grandfather came from Lithuania. And he was the only one that left for war purposes. The other three left for famine and being poor and stuff like that. But I knew I had the benefit of knowing all of them. They all lived to over almost 100 years old. And they were my favorite conversations to have. Grandpa Belchitis didn't speak a lick of English, and yet I still loved talking to him. He'd only speak in Lithuanian, and yet he was a blast to be around. He always had funny things to say. My Irish, actually I take that back. My Irish grandfather died before I was born. That's true. But his wife, my great grandmother, never called me by my first name, always called me after my dad's name, and yet I loved her all the more for it. And then the Italian grandmother made the best food. And I remember it all. Actually, I meant to bring that back. So yes, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren will remember you and want to talk to you, want to hang around, and you'll be the guy who went from Ukraine to the United States, and they'll think that's amazing.
It is amazing.
But something Jose said before about food. Now, we talk a lot about food on this podcast. What are some of the quintessential, some of the typical Ukrainian dishes, like foods, that you make here in the United States now to remind you of home?
It's hard to say because of the language, but generally we have a lot of salads and a lot of soups, different kind of soups. So we keep doing them, we like them, we love them, and one part of main meal, different kind of soups.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
Vegetables,
meat. Hard to describe, but
no, I get it. I'm going to go look up Ukrainian soups. When
different kind of hot, like soups.
What about
you need
Ukrainian?
to eat something hot.
Oh.
Yeah, even in summertime, if you just take one portion of hot soup, it's gonna be good. For me personally.
And what about a Ukrainian dessert?
Dessert?
Yeah. Do you have special?
I may say universal. Universal is ice cream. Everybody likes ice cream. Everybody likes
Can't
ice
go
cream.
wrong with ice cream.
So it's
Can't go wrong.
Gonna be something general. Yeah. if I was able to prepare, to think about it, I would be able to say something about it, desserts, but jams, a lot of jams.
Oh, yeah.
So you may use them like a part of dessert. You may prepare something and put the jam, and for example, pancakes is like a basic general, but when you put some jam there, like raspberry, strawberry, blueberry, apricot, cherry, sweet cherry, different kind of jams, if you put there, it's going to be like a dessert.
Oh, so, I like that.
Think about, when you think about Ukraine, think about different kind of jams. Okay. A lot of wherever you see, you may prepare the jam and then use it like a part of your dessert. So
I love that.
I'm on board with this so far. In years past, Catholic Charities, particularly, I guess it was before COVID, they would have, every month they would try to have some sort of cooking exposition, and there were a lot of great things. It sounds to me like that needs to be resurrected, and we all need to cook our favorite Ukrainian foods.
Yes.
Because I came in second place for cornbread, and I came in first place for a Middle Eastern cookie called a Kaddish. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really good, and I destroyed everyone else. I'm not proud.
I don't think that was true.
No, I came in first. No.
He had
destroyed everyone.
Some COVID fog right there or something like that. He paid people $5 or something to vote.
All I know is
that actually sounds
Mr. Hickey,
likely.
All I know is Mr. Hickey came in with boxed cornbread, and that did not win. So
that also sounds
Jiffy.
likely.
Jiffy cornbread. That is not okay. But I'm on board because I haven't made a soup in a while, and I'm now going to go look up some Ukrainian soups to see if I can do that.
But I may say definitely there are two kind of meal. For example, two things that American citizens will never probably eat from Ukrainian kitchen, from Ukrainian cultural thing. Sala. Everybody knows that sala is like a part of fat. You may salt it, make it spicy, something like that, but it's fat.
Okay.
So we it's tasty, we love it, and we eat it.
If that's what you know, that's what you love.
And the second is raw fish. In Japanese and maybe in
sushi.
Like sushi?
Not sushi. It's just the raw fish, like kind of fish. You just
like a raw fillet.
A raw fillet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you boil the potatoes. You take like pickles, cabbages, sour cabbages.
Yeah.
And it's like a very plain, absolutely plain meal, but. Very tasty, and everybody loved it. Everybody in Ukraine,
I think people will eat that one.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So we're actually recording this just a couple days before World Refugee Day on June 20th, and I think Alexander's already been an incredible example of the benefits of refugees and what they bring to the country. Are there things, Jose, you'd like to see either sort of in the community or culturally or from our governments, maybe change or what we could do to help support refugees a little more?
Mike, I think that the disparities in people being able to get employment documents here, the United States, for whatever reason, Alexander had the opportunity that their employment documents and socials came in a lot quicker than usual. But if the federal government would make it easier for the people that they allow to stay here to get Social Security numbers for work authorization documents, so they can remain working for at least the 2 years and then extend it for another 2, our economy would be much better. Yeah. There would be a lot more people working. There would be a lot more taxes being paid. And there'll be a lot more happier families because they're earning their keep. It's difficult to say sometimes that there's a lot of guys that are coming from the border feeling embarrassed that they can't take care of their families. Mm-hmm. And the only reason for that is that they're not getting a Social Security number or an employment authorization document. And if the government was able to provide those at a quicker pace, you would have a lot more people working and a lot happier people.
Yeah.
And the individuals that are coming from the border are mainly Catholic, and when we provide a service to them, or when we give them a bag of food, they're the happiest people in the world, and still they're the neediest.
Yeah.
But they're extremely grateful.
Alexander?
Yeah, from my personal experience and from the experience of those people whom I know now from Ukraine, nobody wants to stay and get benefits from the government. They don't want to stay and receive like monthly payment or something like that. Everybody wants to work. Everybody wants to go to work. And sometimes it takes time, 3, 4, 5, sometimes months to get work permit. So if they have chance to make it shorter, everybody wants to work and do something. Nobody wants to stay and just receive some benefits. Nobody, just 100%.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not like fun, just sit and do nothing. It's like absolutely opposite of our nature, to sit and do nothing and just receive some something from the government. So it's absolutely like
That's a different
not about
idea.
us,
Yeah, it's a different idea for you. Like that would not be.
Absolutely. So we want to do something, anything. Just as I said, plumbers, electricians, teachers, doctors, anybody. We have to do something.
Yeah.
And we are ready to start from some job that nobody did before.
Yeah.
So we are ready to do some.
Start from the bottom.
Yeah, start from the bottom and go. For example, I was an aide and I does my certificate, and next year I'm going to be the substitute teacher. So I would be able to sub some teachers. Then I have like a plan to get certification from New Jersey Department of Education and become a teacher and be able to improve myself, kids around me, so and be able to bring more what I can.
Your
So-
energy, you would be a great teacher.
Oh, absolutely. You're a natural.
Yeah.
And you live in one of my favorite areas of South Jersey. I spent a lot of time growing up in the Vineland area, so I remember people don't know this little bit of trivia. If you're wondering what the largest city in New Jersey is by size, it is Vineland, New Jersey. It is the largest by landmass. It is the largest city in New Jersey.
I did not know that.
It is enormous. It's also one of the reasons why there's still 3 parishes in it, because it's so big. One parish couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But it's great, and it's completely different. It's both industrial in the center and farmland surrounding it. So it's a great place to. It's actually a great place to grow up. It's a great area. I love going back there. And to Jose's point, there's a lot of great food in Vineland, New Jersey.
We're going, Jennifer.
I'm in. All right, I'm ready. I'd like to try some of this Ukrainian soup.
Okay.
But no, Alexander, thank you very much for coming on the podcast, because even though the war is 2 years old now, and I don't think it's getting quite as much publicity as it did in the past. It's good to remind everybody the difficulties that are going on in Ukraine, but more importantly, it's good to see what coming to the United States has been a benefit to you and your family, and even more importantly to that, now seeing you give back to the United States. Some people, that's their concerns with refugees and immigrants, that they're not going to give back, but you're a shining example of giving back. And from what you said before, it sounds like everybody else wants to as well.
Most of the people, they're grateful, they thankful that they are here, and they are ready, as I see, they are ready to bring something good in their local communities. So
That makes us stronger.
It does. And I will tell you that for Jen and I personally, we've been wanting to do a Ukraine episode for quite a while now. Matter of fact, our plan was to have the Ukrainian Archbishop from Philadelphia on many times, and that just hasn't materialized yet. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that we look forward to that at some point too.
I think it's Jennifer.
It probably is. But
Whose side are you on, Jose?
he knows.
Mine.
accurate.
It's very true.
But we do still hope to have the Archbishop on at some
Yes.
point, and to tell some more stories of Ukrainian life. But Alexander, thank you very much for
Thank you for
being
the
our first guest. And you were worried about your language skills, but I got to tell you,
I'm still worrying
You
because
shouldn't be.
I can't explain all the things, describe all
You pronounce words better than I do.
that is absolutely
Thank
true,
you.
as a matter of fact. And I'm sure your English is better than her German. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Probably true.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, listeners, thank you very much for tuning in this week. And we're going to have another great episode next week. But, learn more about the refugee system and what it really means, not necessarily what you've seen in other media and stuff like that. Learn from it firsthand. But thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.